So, if any of you know anything about Samurai, we are competitive. We're always going to try to outdo the other, especially when we're arguing. But she made some really cool videos telling her story about going to Kenya and the devotional that she gave there. And they were really, really good videos. She's never made videos before, so to see her do that is super cool. She's so hot in those videos. I watched them multiple times. I'd totally marry her. Anyway, but one thing I was thinking about as I was watching them is that she's telling part of her story, and I don't think that's something that people do enough of, telling their story. Like, we talk about stuff, people conversate, but when you really get down and dig down to the nuts and bolts of people's lives and tell their story, you find out that we're all going through the same stuff. The version's a little bit different, but the stuff is always the same. And so I want to tell part of my story, and this is a big part because this part could have cost me my marriage. But ultimately, it was a success story, I guess, because Sam and I are still married. But my big struggle for years, and somewhere deep down it kind of still lingers there, but it's not near as bad as it was money. Not necessarily the pursuit of money or the love of money, but the handling of money. So it was actually probably a deeper problem, but I'll get to that in just a minute. So I didn't grow up with a family that lived on a really tight, strict budget, and I wasn't ever taught, you make this much, you save this much, you spend this much, you give this much. Never got any of that. So to grow into adulthood and then get out on my own, join the Army, I was making money, didn't have a lot of bills, and so I spent my money the way I wanted to and on what I wanted to, and that was fine until I started having a family, and there were other people involved. There were bigger bills, houses, cars, things like that. So when I married Sam, my habits didn't change. My bills got bigger, my responsibilities got greater, and my habits didn't change. And so that was a problem. But I didn't know it was a problem because Sam is just an amazing woman, and she's got this biggest heart, and she wanted me to have everything that I wanted, and I was willing to accept that. And I was like, you know what, you're right, I need everything that I want. And so for years I lived as if I was still single. Like, if it was my money, I spent it how I wanted. I paid my bills. I never neglected my bills, but the rest of it I spent where I wanted. And then over time it started wearing on Sam, and ultimately wore on our marriage because I was always at work, and then she was always at work to support my spending habits. And it took a long time to realize that was what was happening. And once we did realize it, it took even longer for me to swallow my pride, to admit that I had an issue, and to allow God into my heart to break me down enough to address the issue. But ultimately what turned it around was in 2013, Sam and I were in a small group, and the small group went through the program, Financial Peace. If you've never gone through it, you've never heard of Dave Ramsey, and you have any money problems, Google it immediately. Just incredible program. And I don't know what it was about it that was appealing to me. Maybe I knew deep down that I needed help, but either way, I jumped on it. I took the book to work. One night I was on nights. It was a slow night, nothing happening, and so I read it. I read the whole book in one night, and I am a slow reader. I don't read at all. And so I read the whole thing in one night, and I couldn't put it down. It was such a good book. Next day I came home, and I stayed up, and I started working on a budget, a spreadsheet. I mean, it was primitive, but it did, the adding and subtraction, and kept track of everything. And so we started using it. And I can't even describe how much it changed my life. how much it affected my marriage. Just that one simple act of realizing that I had an issue, that I was going down a road that if I kept going down, I don't know if I'd have been able to come back from it. I don't know if Sam would have been able to stay on it with me. And so we managed to take $112,000, that's $112,000 in debt, car loans, student loans, credit cards. We had a home improvement loan, and I secretly bought a four-wheeler that I didn't tell her about. She found out later. But anyway, it was a lot of money. And within 2.5 years, August of 2015, we paid it all off. It was gone. And it was just life-changing. And so that's cool, right? But that's a program. That's something that helped us pay off debt, and that's great. What I want to share is the heart issue that was going on here. So I didn't realize just how prideful I was, and most men don't. Most men don't see themselves as prideful. They see themselves as the man, or a man, or whatever you want to call it, and they're the hierarchy, the top of the hierarchy in the house, and they're ultimately their decision is final, and they deserve what they get because they're the provider for the house. And that was me. That was me. Not because I was doing it maliciously. I just didn't know any better, and no one was going to tell me how to spend my money. And so what I want to tell everyone is that it takes a serious search of your heart, a scan, full, whatever, CAT scan, MRI, whatever you want to call it, full deep scan of your heart to realize where your problem is. And my problem was my heart. It was selfishness. It was pride. It was, oh my gosh, there's a whole bunch of words that could describe it. But ultimately, my heart was not ready to turn my finances over to God. And when I finally made the decision of, you know what, I am spinning in circles. I make great money. I mean, I do for a middle-class person, and so does Sam. We do well. But at the end of the day, at the end of the year, the end of the pay period, we have no idea where it went. And this was befuddling. And we just couldn't figure it out. Where's this money going? And we do our tax returns, and we're like, that's the total we made, and this is what we have to show for it. Not good. And so once we, Sam really never had a problem with that. Once I decided to turn this over to the one who gave me this stuff anyway. Once I decided that I couldn't live in this life anymore. I couldn't spin around in this circle. It was just a cycle. It was a make the money, spend it, have nothing left. Make the money, spend it, have nothing left. Oh wait, nope, I do have something left. I have more debt because I can't actually afford to buy anything. I just have to finance everything. Gosh, it's just over and over and over, and I could go on and on about this for hours. And I know there's people out there who have these same issues. There's couples out there who look at the end of the year and they're like, where did all this money go? And I want you to know that there is a way out of it. You know, there's a way to get it together. And for me, it was giving up control. Sam took over the finances, and we started giving. And I am not a mathematician. I barely passed pre-algebra in college. But when you take this amount of money and you give this amount, you have this amount left. Only that's not how it works. And it's the craziest thing, because when you are giving, and you're giving out of gratitude and out of love and out of just reverence for God, that for what He's done for you, when you are acknowledging that what you have is actually from Him anyway, and so really all you're doing is giving a little bit of it back, it multiplies. And it's the craziest thing. Every single week, every single month, we would look at our budget and we were like, there was more. We were giving away more, and there was more at the end of the month. And if you're watching this video and you're thinking, yep, that doesn't make sense, I'm like, yep, I agree, it doesn't. But it happened, and it happened over and over. And the more we gave, the more we turned it over, the more we gave up control, the more God provided, and the quicker we paid off this debt. $112,000 in debt in 2.5 years is incredible. Now, I would love to say that we've been perfect ever since, and never made any bad decisions with our money since, and we haven't. We get lazy too. But what's so cool is that I still have Sam, and I don't know that I would still have her, because I was being sneaky with our money. I had a separate checking account, and I was putting money into it. And I was just thinking back on it now, it's just stupid, because when I bring something new home and she says, where did that come from? I don't remember that in the budget. I'm like, what had happened was, and I didn't think about this at the time because I was stuck in this cycle of selfishness. Like, this isn't in the budget and I want it. I'm going to get it somehow. And it was just stupid. And when I finally got out of that and gave it all over, mostly because I got caught too. For anyone who may be doing that, don't wait till you get caught. Just go ahead and give it up now. It's just easier for you. But it was the biggest relief to give that over, to give it up, and to not have that that weighing me down anymore. And the thing is, I didn't even know it was weighing me down. I didn't feel this heavy burden until I looked into the eyes of my wife and I realized that she was carrying that burden. She was sacrificing time, hours, days with our children because she had to work. Time that she could have been with her girls, raising them and teaching them, she wasn't, because she was at work supporting my bad habits. And so I just want to share this, because if there's any men out there, or women, I guess, that have this pride or this selfishness in them, or this inability to break this habit or this cycle, I just want you to know you can do it. And when you do, there is so much freedom. There is so much just relief in it, because you're not so focused on you anymore. And the more I focused on Sam and the girls and Braden and what they wanted and what they needed, it just changed my whole life. And I'm not saying I'm perfect. I still get selfish and want stuff for my boat or for my truck, and I still want it, but it comes second to them having what they need and what they want. And so I just wanted to share this as kind of a testimony to the power that God has over your money. And I don't know the exact number of times that money is mentioned in the Bible, but I know it's mentioned a lot, over 100 and something. So if you've ever thought that God and money don't go hand in hand, I think you couldn't be more wrong. It is all Him. It is all His. Everything is His, including your money. And so you're just a steward. You're handling it. And so the better you handle it, and the more you allow Him to help you handle it, I wish I could tell you just how amazing your life will be, and how much freedom and relief you will have if you do it. So anyway, thank you all for watching, and I hope there's more videos to come. This isn't something that's natural for Sam or I, and actually I'm hoping that her and I can make some together and tell our story, because our story is pretty cool too. So anyway, thank you all, and have a good one.